Welcome to Amanda Creates. I am a scrapbooker, and so I'm just getting started on YouTube. Today I'm going to do a 6 by 12 page. I'm going to use the cover page of the bark, and so I cut all the pieces of strips of paper that's in that package that's on the cover piece, and I'm going to use all of that on this today. And so I'm just going to rough this up. I am going to go ahead and glue this one down so that it's straight with my T-square ruler. I'm just using some white tacky glue and magic of editing. Now they're all down, and I'm like taking a look at my picture, and I decide I don't really like the white on the edge, so I'm going to cut that off here right away. And so I'll go zip zip. I'm thinking that I'm going to probably mat this on a color or black. So I am going to trim off a little bit of the top and the bottom, or probably just the top, and both of the sides to get rid of the white because it wasn't quite all the way across, which I knew was going to be. So take a look at that. And now I'm thinking I'm going to mat my picture in this blue cardstock. And so I thought about doing just the one there, and then I'm playing around with, do I mat this on black like this? And so I'm thinking about it. I don't mind that, um, but I'm not 100% keen. I'm going to trim a little bit off because it wasn't quite as much as I wanted to show if I was going to keep it on that black, but spoiler, I don't keep it exactly just framed that way. So here I go, looking at this again. I like that more than I did, and then there's that blue piece that goes all the way across, and then my picture of my kiddo and our puppy. And I go, no, I don't like that. I want more texture on it. So I'm gonna take and change all these into banners, and then I'm not gonna make you watch all of that part of things. So here I'm doing the last banner, and I like that more. And so I put that on. I'm like, haha, okay. But it's just all too straight. So I'm going to rough it up, but it's all just too straight for me today. So some days that's totally fine. So I'm going to cut them apart. And so this is me cutting them apart. And then I'm going to distress all the edges. So I'll distress, I think I just one. So I grab my Tim Holtz, I think it's Tim Holtz distress tool. And so I distress edges. I get a little bit into the banner flaps, and so now that's all of them done, and I'm just going to ink up the edges. I'm not going to make you watch me ink them all up either. So here's one. I didn't even think about being off the screen when I did that, so I have to get used to how to do this and video at the same time. So then I'm going to paste them all down again, and so I'm thinking, okay, which order did I want these in? Because I just cut them out and just threw them on the table instead of thinking about it. So I'm just ordering them up. I don't want any of the really white ones against another one of the white ones on the top, even though mostly you won't see them against each other that way. I just didn't really want it that way. So that's, so I'm thinking this piece will go all the way across still. I'll be doing that spot for a bit before I decide it's part of what I'm not quite liking about the layout so far. And then, so I am going to line these two edge ones up with the edge. They're not perfect, but I didn't want them to be perfect, but they are straighter than the rest of them will be. So, so I'm going to look at a couple of these, paste some of these down. I'm only putting glue on the top part because I'm thinking I'm going to add some dimension to some, and I like that the texture there is not completely stuck down, so it does add some different texture. Just foam dotting this middle one up. And So play around with these and get these on. And so there's overlapping. Some of them are not quite straight. Some of them are askew. So I like that a whole lot more. Gives a whole lot more of the texture that I was looking for. So just get the rest of these ones on. That one gets pop dotted too. I do want it kind of lined up with that other middle one so that the middle is the middle on both the upper and the lower. So that's why I T-squared that one, but it is popped up and so there's different dimension there. So then there's this part and I'm going, this is where I'm going, hey, well, I don't really like it all the way to the edge. So I'm looking, I'm like, okay, well, I could still use this piece and mat it with a little bit on it. So I'm just going to use my wet glue on my picture, put it down on the corner here, and then use my trimmer and trim off the other two sides. So I'm just taking a look with my trimmer where it is so I don't actually have to measure. I'm doing a lazy man measure. So I'm just like, yep, that's where it is in my guide for where the plastic piece that comes down. And that's how I'm measuring this one for how much it is. So it's probably about 1/8 of an inch, but could be a little less than that. And then I'm going to distress this edge. And then you'll see when I put it back on the layout that not all of those pieces are going to be covered. And I know that. And so I'm going to go grab some scrap paper from my scrap bin to take a look at what I can do on the background there. I want to tie in some of the other colors that are there too. So I come back with eventually a piece out of my bin that's this, it's a dual red, almost a grayish tone to this red stripe, but it's a diagonal stripe, and so it's not quite big enough, but I'm just going to glue this other piece on where this tiny piece doesn't fit. And then when I put my picture mat on, it's going to be on the bottom corner, and so it's not very noticeable at all on the layout. So there I go. And then it's going to line up on that side there. And so I decided to make it a little bit of a skew because not very much is straight on this layout today, and I didn't really want it to be. So I'm just going to pop dot this up. And I'm going to leave a little bit of room in case I want to tuck stuff. So you can see that orange on the orange side on the left side of the layout. It's still not covering completely. I will fix that here in a minute, but that's where I want my picture to go. So I'm just smushing those pop dots on so they stick. My kiddo just came in to talk to me for a second too. And so now I'm going to use the Bark Collection stickers. I was thinking this one would go here, but I put a pop dot on it and everything. It's not going to stay there, but I was thinking it was a good spark to start with. I want to cover up that space above, like that open space, that there's just really nothing there. This sticker says I love to snuggle with my puppy, or snuggling with my puppy, something like that. And so that's going to take up that space in the picture that's not really doing anything. And then I'm going to fuss about a little bit. So I cut a lot of that fussing about. And then I decide that I should have pop dotted this up already. But now I'm going to put my phone dots on and pop it up so that it sticks properly. And there's another one. So I'm looking at ways to fix this gap between the papers for those banners with this orange one. So there's just a little awkward black spot. So I know that I have a little piece that I cut off, so I am going to slide this orange bit in to fix that problem of that extra black hanging out there. So I'm just gonna slide it literally right in there and put some glue on it. I make a mess with my glue, like a big mess with my glue. So I'm like, yuck. So I just use a wet nap to wipe it up, and it wipes up pretty easily. And then, because everything else has that ink on it, I'm just going to distress that side with the ink. And now I'm going, hey, this is a lot better. I like this. Now I'm going to go back to those stickers. So this brown one will come on now, right down here. And I try and play with this brown bone, but it's not going to come on. But I like the fire hydrant, and it's just going to rest on this word bit because it just is a nice little shelf for it. And then I need some sprinkle bits. So I like these puppy paws. So it's going to go actually underneath the puppy Snuggles. And then there's a little pink heart there, so she's smitten with him. So I thought that was a good spot for it on the picture. There's some other little hearts and paw prints on the sticker sheet, so I'm going to get some more of those on there. Another little heart. Just looking at it to see. There's a little bit of an awkward spot with that orange banner and the label on top, so I do want to change that. A little heart on the word bit in the bottom. And I'm looking, where are there some more of these little bits? Do I really want this? I want that I'm focusing on that space. Can I make that work? I don't like how it cuts off some of the word, and I'll save it for a different layout. And then I like this little, I do want to get a bone on here, so I was thinking maybe in here. Nope, nope. It's going to come down on the fire hydrant in a second. Yep, that works. That was an orange one, and I didn't like the orange beside the orange, so it's just going to come back on my page. And then there's this little one that's going to go right where I was trying to, I was like, hey, that would work up there with the yellow. And then some of these I'm just going to tack down just a little bit. And I think that's good for the embellishing. And then all I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold up this piece of scrap and I'm going to put over my picture, and then my kiddo's going to come get me and I have to come back to this a different day. So I leave it on my desk and I come back and I just water down a little bit of white gesso and I'm going to do splatters. And so this is the last bit that I wanted to do on this. So lots of splatters, some big dollops, some flicky bits. And I'm going to bring it up, being careful because it's really still wet. So I love my dog this much, and all I need is puppy snuggles, I think is what is. If all else fails, snuggle with your puppy is what it's called. And then I love my dog this much. So you can see some of the texture here. And so thanks for watching. If you liked my video, please like it and subscribe.